Welcome back to the Highway 49 podcast. We are back with episode 113 of the show. And it feels like we just left a media day, man. But here is Charlotte's official media day. They held that at the GDW Rose Fieldhouse this morning, this Monday. Here with my guy, Jeremy. How are you, my man?
Doing well. I'm still in off-season form, not in mid-season form. I walked in at 10:01 a.m. and I just thought it was going to be practice, media scrum. We're going to get the press conference type of layout, and it was media day. And I SID Joe Templin's like, dude, you didn't give me a list of players to interview, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm sorry. So shout out to Joe dealing with my stupid self and allowing me to still get to talk to some of these guys, and then seeing Hunter and seeing some other guys too. So it was a good day overall. Started off a little a little wobbly, but quickly got into mid-season form there, and it was good to go talk to some new players, see some new faces again. So, yeah, no complaints.
Yeah, definitely. So the way that this was set up is, I guess, media that's been out of practice, like Jeremy and I have been to some practices. There's some media members we haven't seen because it's just laid out a little bit different. Like in years past, you had the ability to record the first, I don't know, 5 or 6 periods, first 15, 20 minutes, a lot of stretch periods, get B-roll and stuff like that. And then you couldn't record, but you were kind of able to watch practice and see some of the standouts, figure out some people that you might want to talk to. So it's been a little different. So we haven't got to see a lot of these live periods, a lot of the I mean, really any of it as far as that goes. We get to watch a little bit of the individual periods. So picking out people for this to talk to is kind of you're taking shots in the dark. Who are some people that the coaching staff has talked about as standouts? Because it kind of feels like I don't know if this is Joe or what, but the media training was up there today. No one was saying anything. And I just say for a second, like I've covered like done a couple NFL games, done the NBA, college football. But dude, covering the UFC in the way that they talk in that versus I just wish I understand how like PC you have to be. You have to keep everything in the house for a football team. You don't want to share too much. You don't want to give up your advantages. But in the UFC, it's my favorite thing. They'll just be like, that dude, I want to beat the shit out of him. And it's like, cool. Like I can write that no problem. Like if you it's just so clear, I guess. And then on the football side of things, no one wants to say too much. Is that kind of what you got today? It just seemed a little bit, like I say, very well media trained grooming here from the Charlotte staff.
Yeah, I think we've seen that Tim's been a little hesitant to have cameras and all this stuff. Crazy plane going over me right now. He's having all these cameras and stuff going on right now. Also, like because you start off with two in-state opponents who are
Oh yeah.
very close to you, who could easily have people in any of these rooms, someone watching, someone looking, someone hearing. So I understand the caution there, but you're right. I mean, it's not like UFC mano y mano. You're going out there, you're looking someone in the face, you're in a cage. This is the opposite where you say one wrong thing and the coaching staff for the other team will take it, parcel it,
Bulletin board.
cut it up, bulletin board, and now you are the reason why your team lost because they were able to, galvanize 52 guys behind one sentence that you said wrong.
So I remember to get back to 2022, Charlotte opened with FAU on the road in Boca Raton. I actually made the trip down to the game. A friend of mine was living down there. And I wrote a story maybe 2 weeks before, and it was when Charlotte had, I would say, the best receiving core it's ever had with this school. It's Grant Dubose, Elijah Spencer, Vic Tucker. And the ongoing joke was that they were the big three. So like Grant's telling me this. I'm like, all right, we're definitely gonna write a story about this. I'll probably tag it in here. It's still one of my favorite stories ever. The TV broadcast picked it up, but it also got down to the FAU folks, and that became bulletin board material for their DB room. It was stapled on all their lockers. Charlotte's the big three. Grant's LeBron. Vic is D Wade. Elijah Spencer's Chris Bosh. And they shit on Charlotte that game. Grant did have a couple touchdowns, a big one to kick the game off. But yeah, FAU really took it to them. There were a lot of big hits, and you could tell that's something that galvanized them. Like, okay, this team really thinks y'all are the big three, and you're coming to South Florida. We got to shut that down. So I completely agree with that. Back to this year's team, this so media day was interesting. So today it was in the team room, and you could tell the guys are excited to have a day off the field, right? So camp players reported a week ago today. They've had practice Tuesday through Sunday, so 6 straight days of practice. Today was their first off day. They're still in the weight room. They're still in the film room. But you could tell that you're in the swing of things with camp. I asked a couple of guys. We'll get to DJ Burgess in a minute, but I asked him about someone who he watched, some guys that he would like liken his game to, and he literally said he's like, dude, I don't watch football. He's like, it's like I was kind of taken back. He's like, all we do is football, so some like I have to have a way to
Need an escape. Everyone needs,
separate.
yeah.
Yeah, and but so they're in the midst of it. They have 19 total practices. They're through six of them. First scrimmages later this week. Offensive coordinator Todd Fitch said the install period, I guess the install of the scheme is kind of tapering off, and you're getting into a little bit of that game preparation where you can kind of get a feel for this. And we're gonna have the quarterbacks featured here later. But you got to realize, guys, it's a whole new team. It's a smorgasbord of new players. I think the number is 57 total new faces. 17 of those are coming in post the spring period. So there's just so many, there's so much new, right? And they have to figure out who are the best 22 guys to put on the field. But Jay, I want to start with you, man. You talked to DJ Burgess coming over from Northwest Mississippi JUCO. What was that conversation like with him?
Yeah, it was good. Shout out to DJ for taking the time. I wasn't on one of his like lists, but again, Joe allowed me to talk to him. So he started out as a tight end, and I asked him why. He said he kind of liked it when they would throw me the ball, but afterwards, when they hit me, he didn't like that part, so he liked the blocking better. And then he's like, so that's why I went to D-line, because I like hitting people more. And I said, you know what? I like that. You don't like to get hit. You want to be the one hitting people. So that was cool. But also, I asked him who are some defensive playmakers, and he said linebackers, of course, like Shea Taylor, Schmitz, Gavin Willis, Reed Williford. On the back end, JQ. But he said Colin Gill is making a lot of plays. He loves watching Colin come downhill. He thinks he closes out really well, and he expects him to make an impact this season for the team. So it's good to see that he um he realizes that his defensive unit, it's not one man above all. He's just naming off a ton of people, and that kind of goes into what you're talking about with the smorgasbord of new talent, new players, and all these opportunities because I haven't heard of Colin Gill, but he is saying that Colin Gill is going to be Luke Kuechly, and he forgot to mention himself. I'm like, DJ, you forgot to mention yourself. He's like, yeah, don't worry about it. But those guys are going to be playmakers. So really enjoyed my time talking to DJ, and seems like this team's going to have some playmakers on the defensive side of the ball.
Definitely, man. So I spent some time. I got to talk to DJ and then his coach, position coach Kurt Maddox. And Kurt started, well, he's been all over the country, defensive coordinator for a ton of different programs, but he's been with Albin at Ohio, and he raved about DJ and his ability to both understand the game but be versatile. And I think one of my favorite things when I watch the NFL is when you have a good pass rusher, they have to be versatile enough to not just need to be on a strong side, whatever good for them, but to be able to go across the line of scrimmage and find the fish is what a lot of the off or defensive guys call them. Find the fish on the O line that you know if you get a one-on-one matchup with, you're going to win that 9 times out of 10. And they talked about DJ's ability to do that. He's 6'2", 270 pounds. So he started his career in Conference USA with Southern Miss, similar to Zach Wilkie, and then went to Northwest Mississippi. So there's a few of those guys. Wilkie's another. We'll get to him a little bit later. But DJ played in all 24 games over the 2 seasons, totaled 81 tackles, 16 tackles for loss, and 7 sacks. And like I say, 6'2", 270. They go on to win the championship in their conference. I can't remember it off the top of my head. I think it's like MACCC. I don't have the full acronym in front of me. But it sounds like there's a lot of excitement around him. And then on the opposite end of the defensive line, Braden Mullen, that opposite edge. It sounds like I asked Shea Taylor and Caden Schmitz last week, standout players. Those were the two they mentioned, DJ and Braden Mullen. And it was great because my phone overheated in the middle of that interview, so I don't have any of that audio. But you heard it here firsthand. Talking about some of the position coaches, man, you heard a little bit about Kurt Maddox. You talked some about Paul Turner. We got to talk to Paul the last episode. What were your kind of takeaways from some of those guys about these coaches on the team?
Yeah, so I got to talk to Caleb Curtain. Is hopefully I'm pronouncing that right, Curtain or Curtan. He's a DB, and then Jalen Hampton, the wide receiver, and talked to him at the same time. Kind of asked them general questions that applied to both the offense and defense, and wanted to hear how their answers kind of differed from the same question. But something that really struck with me was when I asked Caleb, or not Caleb, Jalen about Paul Turner, and he said. And I quote, I just want to thank God for Paul. He's a mentor to me. That's probably the biggest blessing from God I could ask for. Coming from my last school, I didn't have a coach keep it real with me. To be honest, he kept it real, not just current advice, but also for the future. So he's saying that Paul isn't just saying, hey, work on this, do this. I see this in your game. He's also giving him tidbits that can help him out later in the future if he happens to go pro and stuff like that. So then I asked Caleb the same question. Is there a positional coach that has the same impact on you that Paul Turner has on Jalen Hampton? And he said, Coach Nardo and Coach Bell. They know what it looks like to get to that level. They've coached guys at that level. So it's good to see that the coaching staff is getting the respect from the players because they've been at that level. They know what
Yep.
it takes, and it's resonating throughout the entire team, what they're saying.
Yeah, no doubt. And those are a couple coaches, Nardo and Trey Bell. I haven't got a chance to talk to or meet just yet. Definitely looking forward to that. But I spoke with both of those guys as well. And Hampton, man, was it's very quiet, but you could tell. Like he talked about having a chip on his shoulder. I asked him why he chose Charlotte, and he walked it all the way back to the beginning of college for him. He said, I went into Western Kentucky and I thought I was the man. And you get humbled and you realize everyone that's coming from their high school is probably the man at that point. And now you're trying to fight for your spot on the field. And I think he believes that opportunity is here in Charlotte.
Yeah, that's another thing when we talked to Todd Fitch last week, and one of the things he really wanted to stress was consistency. So I asked Jalen about that consistency and mentality, coming into work, coming into practice every day with the same mentality, not coming in at 90% one day and 60% another day, and then 100 the next day. You wanted to be at 100 every single time. And he told me this. He said, for me, I want to be on my P's and Q's. I look at myself in the mirror every morning and tell myself why I'm here. What can I do to be consistent every day that's going to help me and my teammates because my energy is going to feed off of everybody out there. But it's interesting that he looks in the mirror every day. He says, hey, you are here for a reason. Now
Yep.
it's your time to go out and prove it to people. And I think that's not just a football thing, that's an everyday thing, telling yourself, hey, I'm here for a reason. I belong here, and now let me go out and prove it. So it's good to see this. I get it. People are going to listen to this and say, oh, it's a bunch of cliche quotes. It's a bunch of all this stuff. But when you see teams that win, they also exude the same type of confidence and
Yep.
self-awareness. So I think it's good to hear from these players.
Well, that's part of it too. So Hampton is a bigger body receiver. That's one of the first things I thought when I saw him. I didn't realize his measurables. I looked him up ahead of this, 6'2", 200. That's pretty solid for a basically redshirt freshman wideout coming in. And they're in a basically a veteran laden room, and 5 of the 12 receivers are seniors or grad students. We're talking about guys like a Sean Brown, a Javon Nicholas, a Justin Olson, someone that flashed a little bit last year but was hurt. So there's not a ton of reps to go around at receiver. I asked Todd Fitch. He said you want to have 6 to 7 guys that you feel comfortable about come game day, and he said we're working towards. We've got 4 or 5 now. You're still trying to figure out who is and who's not, and where are they best fit, right? Because do you have someone that's only has a certain, I guess, a limited route tree versus someone who you can put them out there. And I think the most interesting thing I heard today, and this will come up in the QB conversation, but someone told me Sean Brown was the fastest guy on the team. And you love to hear something like that. I mean, we've talked about Sean a lot on this pod over the past 2 years. And when I've watched his game, he's definitely a great route runner and he's got some of that height. He's 6'4", but the speed, if he's going to be like that type of player in the offense, they're going to need that because when you look at last year, we've talked about it. It was literally, hey, is Omega Blake open on this fade ball? If not, nah, we're probably getting sacked like in second down. Uh, from that, man, I feel like we have to talk about the quarterbacks. I just want to preface this, right? We can't watch practice. these coaches, these players, like I say, are literally media trained to not talk about this. Like you can glean little bits of information. And I told you who I thought would be the starter. Hannah gave hers on here. We'll see how it goes further down the line. But Jay, before we plug this audio, I was curious, just your takeaway from the QBs. We just asked them some like they had literally been in interview after interview after interview, so we just tried to lighten the mood and ask them some easy questions. But what were your thoughts, man?
Yeah, they're all, like you said, really well media
Yeah.
trained really well. And, you know,
Say
sometimes
some
you just,
crazy shit.
I know, right? But I'm about to say some crazy shit. I think that you can tell they all want that spot.
Yeah.
They're all trying to put the smoke screen that, they're rooting for each other, they're rooting for everybody. Hell no. If I'm that guy, I'm doing whatever I can to kill the other guy, and I'll do it in the nicest way possible, right? I'm not trying to sabotage them. I'm not trying to do anything like that, but I'm going to be there for you. But just know that when we get out on that field, I'm here to kill. That's how
Yeah.
you earn your spot in college football. This isn't a one quarterback thing. This is every position on the field. Hey, we're talking to Kurt Hannon, I'm talking to Jalen Hampton, wide receiver DB wide receiver, and they're saying, you know what, man, this guy's good. No, they line up. They line up. It's all that media training goes out the window. And what did we say when we talked to them? What did you start out with? Hey, who's the biggest trash talker? And who'd they say?
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Everyone, well, you'll see, but they go right to Connor. And it was funny. I had asked Caleb, the DB, about it, and I literally said to him, I was like, everyone in here is media trained to not talk about this. So I'm just going to ask you about them rather than about their game. Who's talking the most smack? And he was immediately like, yeah, me and Connor got this thing going. I've been telling him I'm going to pick him off for weeks. And I was like, that's what I want to hear. Like, yes. Because that's the type of, if we're not going to be able to watch and no one's going to say anything, that's the content that I would want to consume at least. Is like, what is the most fun aspect of it? And in my mind, that is the most fun when you're at practice and no one, it's hot as hell. You're on your fifth, sixth day of camp. Who is bringing the most energy? We asked that. Who is having the most banter? And I think that's probably the best aspect of it we can glean, at least right now. So with that, I'll go ahead and plug the QB audio. Like I say, we talk guys that bring energy, biggest trash talkers, just some different things like that. But I'll go ahead and plug that audio now. I'm just gonna try and keep it fun.
Yeah.
Who's the biggest shit talker of the three of you at quarterback?
Wow.
Really?
That guy?
I use Connor.
I asked Caleb Curtin, and he also said you.
Oh,
So I would say they got the Duke UNC thing going on, so it would be they're the biggest rivals here. I'm just here. I'm just here. But I would say I wouldn't really say Connor's a shit talker, but I don't know.
I feel like it brings the kind of the best out in people and it kind of livens practice up
Yeah, for
a
sure.
little bit. And then the guys know where I'm coming from and it can make them laugh and I
all
think
good
it's fun,
banter.
make practice fun.
So, basketball analogy here. Energy guys, someone like Russell Westbrook comes in the game, like you say, he's talking trash. He gets the rebound, he gets the alley-oop, he gets the crowd going. What type of players are like that on the team where they come in, they make a play, and you're like, okay, now everyone's rejuvenated, a jolt of energy throughout the team?
Yeah, I would say on defense, Stellenboom made a tackle in practice, hit a backflip, and the defense went insane.
Really?
So that brought a bolt of energy. I would say on the offensive side of the ball, this is yesterday. Javen had a long touchdown. Javen Nicholas, and he had a little dance. So that's great energy. So
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think you summed it up.
Fair enough, man. For you guys, Todd Fitch, he seems kind of maybe stoic is the right word. He's kind of quiet. Who's getting him laughing? Like, is he like that in the meeting room?
I think Zach gets him to laugh the most.
Yeah.
yeah, he's a great coach. I would say Connor's a guy from he went to high school with Jesse Ramil. He just transferred in the summer.
Yeah, JMU.
Yeah, he made him laugh yesterday. There's a few
Javen got a
things.
good laugh out of him yesterday.
Yeah, there's a
too.
few things that
Never know what's gonna come, it's random.
yeah, there's a few people that make him laugh.
Jaden and the guy, they have a good relationship. They make each other laugh if they get them out. So.
talking to some of the wide receivers earlier, and they were mentioning how Paul Turner has just been a big blessing for them. He's been there, he's been in the NFL, he's seen those things. So when he talks, it resonates with them. Do you guys have that coach for you where, when they talk, it feels a little more because this guy's seen it before and he just wants the best for me.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
I think Coach Fitch is that way. He's been in this role for a really long time, and he's seen a lot of football, and he's been around a lot of great quarterbacks. So just hearing him talk and kind of what he has to say holds a lot of weight just because of his experience.
As far as where my inaccuracies are, as far as throwing the ball, and where my weaknesses are, as far as in the pass game and the run game, he's the best coach I've ever had as far as pointing that out and showing me where I need to improve on. Um, so I've really appreciated getting to work with Coach Fitch.
yeah, it's pretty cool. We're watching film of like C.A. Stroud and Jamie Daniels and Garrett Nussmeier, those guys, guys that are, really super talented. And Coach Fish has been through that. And he's coached those guys. And hey, like I'm watching film of those guys, I better listen, pay attention.
For y'all watching, like I assume you guys watch other college ball, NFL, can you just casually watch football at this point? Or is it like your brain is still processing when you're watching quarterback stuff like that?
I love watching casual football. Like,
Okay. I was
if we,
just,
if we play early, if we have new games, that's how I get to watch college football. That's awesome.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm still a fan.
it's like y'all got some Friday and Thursday games this year. I was like, fuck yeah. So I can watch ball on Saturday.
Yeah.
But how about you guys?
Yeah, I saw Carson Beck say something about like he couldn't watch football because he's so analytical with the game when he does watch the ball. But when I'm not playing football, like I can definitely watch football and enjoy it. I love watching ball.
Yeah, I think probably similar to these guys. I come from a football family. My family, I grew up every Saturday, cuddling up on the couch and watching college game day with my mom and as a little kid, and just been doing it my entire life. So being able to get the chance to, after a game, go home on a Saturday night and hang out with some guys and watch football, it's a lot of fun.
Definitely, man. So I asked a couple of people today who the fastest guy on the team was. I was shocked by one answer. Someone said Sean Brown. Can anyone verify this?
He probably could throw his hat in the ring.
Yeah, he could probably be up there. I don't think he's the fastest, so I will say he's right up there.
Heard Seth Franklin was up there. Someone mentioned Henry.
Jaden McGowan's up there.
Yeah.
Seth, I would say Jaden. Yeah, game speed. Jaden's up there for sure, and regular speed. Yeah, Seth Franklin. Something like the catapult stats said that Seth was the highest over camp. So
Something I want to kind of touch on after that, even though I know that was a more lighthearted interview, I overheard when Cam Williams was talking to the three QBs, and Wilkie said something that kind of stuck to me. He said, we had a lot of injuries early in the defense, but now that we get to see the full force of the defensive line now that they're healthy. And that might play into also why Paul Turner told us, hey, defense has been winning early on. I asked Caleb Curtan the same question. I said, hey, Paul said defense has been winning. He smiled and said, yeah, we have. And it seems like maybe earlier in the preseason, whatever, spring camp, whatever workouts, that there were some injuries. Those people are getting healthy again, and now they're feeling the full force of that defensive line coming at them. So it's interesting to see how, that was a little tidbit of information that we got that, hey, now we're healthy. We can see that this defense is legit, or at least the front line is good, and they're getting to us, fairly consistently.
So I want to take that and like put some stats to it. So, and I don't have all these right in front of me, but I'll tell you this. Charlotte allowed 35 points a game last year, right? That was a Ryan Osborne defense. They had the 122nd worst run defense. I just wrote that in a story. Over 210 yards a game. So you think, okay, they can't stop the run. Teams teams are going to feast on you early downs. It doesn't really matter what you're doing on that front if you can't contain the run. But then they weren't getting to the quarterback either. 17 total sacks, 13th out of the worst, or 13th out of 14 American teams. So you're wondering, okay, what does this Ohio defense look like, and what are they bringing to Charlotte? So I haven't watched all 14 of their games from last season. They went 11-3. I think I've probably watched 8 of them though. And when you watch that team, they played just like extremely together. It's like on a string. And I know that's cliche, but I'll give you some stats. So Shea Taylor, we've talked about him, 73 tackles. He was third on the defense in tackles playing Mike linebacker. When you bring something like that, we're talking about Charlotte last year allowed 35 points a game. Ohio allowed 18. They had, I think it was the ninth best total defense in the country, the fourth best run defense in the country. So when you're talking 122nd worst out of 133 to the fourth best, as far obviously that whole defense isn't coming, but the schematic side of it is. And Nate Fana's his defense. He was co-DC there. He is the DC here now. Kurt Maddox, another guy we talked to today. So the, I guess, mentality side of things is coming, as well as a Shea Taylor, a Caden Smith. There's a couple other linebackers from Ohio. But the question becomes is how can Charlotte put that together? And you talked about some guys on the defensive line because it's all going to start there. We talked about DJ Burgess. Braden Mullen had 20 and a half tackles for loss at Dartmouth before coming to Charlotte. Ayo Tafasi coming over from Florida State. His measurables are off the chart. He didn't play a ton, and especially last year he was dealing with injury. But you've got him and Jalar Holly, two ACC transfers, I would say likely in that middle of that D line. I think there's going to be a lot of bodies that play there, especially early in the season, because it takes some time to get into game shape, man. Like you're seeing a lot of these, the reps aren't live right now. You're not tackling to the ground. You're just thudding up. It's a different level when you're in the third quarter trying to drag your teammate off the ground and get back, get the call in, get the playoff. So there's going to be a lot of bodies rotating in and out, like in the wow, rotating in and out up front. The defense itself, I think they've got a good level of experience. Anyone that you talk to says these inside linebackers, Caden, Shea, Reed Williford, have kind of brought a calmness to the defense. They're understanding, they're able to get their guys in position. If you need a shift on the D line, if they need, there's some kind of motion the other way. Because while they're, and this is kind of puts a bow on it, defense doesn't take as long. We've talked about that on the last pod. It's a little bit of see ball, get ball, but at the same time, they're not preparing for App State yet. They're learning their defense. This is what we like to do in these situations. And I think that's when you're going to get the good on good reps here.
And I know you said they're not preparing for App State yet, but I think having that type of veteran defense will allow them to settle into the game earlier than maybe defenses in the past. What I mean by that is, okay, first play, App State gets a 25-yard gain. App State Mountaineers crowds going crazy in BOA. Everyone's going crazy. It's pandemonium. Okay. Who can be that guy? Who can be those guys on defense to say, hey, it's okay. It's the
Yeah.
first quarter. It's 3 plays in. It's the first drive. How do we close this possession? That's what's huge for this team because, of course, I think Todd Fitch again, I'm going to keep bringing his name up. Consistency, consistency, consistency. It doesn't matter that they gash you once. Do you have the guys that not only have the talent, but the wherewithal, the awareness, the mental fortitude to say, hey, forget about that shit. Let's come back in and let's make sure we get the stop. And I think guys like Shea Taylor, the guys that were cut from that Ohio Albin cloth, can be those people that can come in, say, hey, this is what we can do, and let's fix whatever, bandages that have to be mended there.
Yeah. I think that's probably one of my favorite things about football. And I think it's Crazy Stupid Love in the movie. What's that? Steve Carell? Is that Ryan Gosling?
I just watched that
Yeah.
with my girl as we're taking out her grades.
Yeah.
Great movie. Emma Stone.
Yeah.
Oh, great
But
movie.
there's a picture from that, and Steve Carell is dressed like a 60-year old like gym teacher, and Ryan Gosling is wearing like tight, nicely fitted, tailored suit, and like that is the up and coming OC who is the offensive mastermind, and then you've got the guy who's wearing a t-shirt and shorts, and he's chilling, and that's like the veteran OC, and that's kind of how I see Todd Fitch. He is like, if you're looking like Steve Carell, you're doing all right. So when I talking to Todd, he's more of the old head, and I think where I'm going with this is he like run schemes are simple. You can make them extremely complex, but the thing is if you can't stop it, it can be as simple as power on repeat. Until you stop it, we're gonna run it down your throat. And talking to him, He said it again today. He said it's designed to create explosive plays, but we're trying to get favorable looks in the run game. This team wants to run the ball, and they've got the guys to do it.
Yeah, and I guess to end off on the movie analogy before we wrap up is in the beginning of the movie, Steve Carell, the old guy, wanted to be Ryan Gosling. He wanted
Yeah.
to be the new coach, the guy who was innovative, who had all these new ideas, who was giving adding a new wrinkle to the game. But by the end of the movie, we realized that Ryan Gosling just wanted to be Steve Carell,
Yeah.
that the new flashy guy actually wants to be the guy in the shirt and the flip-flops and the cargo pants. And I think that we're seeing that in football as well, where you have all these flashy offensive coordinators and defensive coordinators and whatever, but Pete Carroll's still coming back and getting a job, and Sean Payton's still coming back and getting a job because they know what works.
Yeah.
Sometimes they don't have to be flashy. When you have the formula, it can work. And I really do hope that this season they have the formula with the offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, and all the coaching staff as well.
Yeah, and I think this is going to be a ball control offense, which is kind of like the where my brain went with that point is I don't think that they're going to be airing it out and having some kind of air raid offense. Like we've talked in the past, if you have three quarterbacks, it's because one isn't standing out above the rest. I think this is going to be a ball control, dink and dunk, mesh concept type offense. And I think it starts up front, and I think to wrap this pod, we're gonna drop in. I had a phone call with Tim Albin last week, and I asked him, "What's the identity of this team?" Because one thing that's for sure is couldn't figure it out the last 2 years. It was as inconsistent as up and down. I asked him what he thought the offensive identity was, and he said it's the offensive line. It's got to start there, and you want to hear that. You think about the Philadelphia Eagles just winning the Super Bowl, all that starts up front.
So that's what I would say because you're about to go with the Alvin phone call. The last thing I'll say here is, what would you want? Would you want an offense that can take the top off and go deep and can always got to be on your toes because Tyreek Hill's on that field? Or would you want that grit, grind it out, 3rd and 2, first down again to keep the defense on the field? Because I think that's what the Eagles are a little bit, right? Where it's 4th and 1. They're going for it. It's a tush push. You can't do anything about
Yeah.
it. And what that line has to be out there for another 5 minutes on defense, and it wears you down. So I think that it is good to have those, you know, grind out first downs over and over again. However, if you're a defense, you're saying all they have to do is make one mistake. One
Yeah.
mistake, we get the ball back. So it's that push and pull between grinding it out, grinding your opponent down, and then your opponent staying patient and saying, when we get an opportunity, we have to make sure we hit on it.
Yeah, I think that falls probably somewhere in the middle. But I will say, if you're operating in a high risk, high reward offense, it's going to bite you at times. You're going to have more three and outs. Your defense is going to be right back out on the field. So if it were me, I'd rather have more of a ball control offense that establishes the line of scrimmage, especially in the second half. Because if you're going to, like, if you can run the ball in the second half, and this, Tim Albin says this, I completely agree, you can control a game. If you have the ball late, and you've got your guys, and you guys are, like I say, being able to control the line of scrimmage, it's going to be tough to beat a lot of those teams. I'll go ahead and plug the audio from Tim here. We talked a little bit about, like I say, the offensive line. We talked some health things too. I asked him how everyone's doing. He gives an update there. We get a funny Ohio story from a Caden Schmitz pick too. And then I asked him about some true freshman standouts. So I'll go ahead and plug that now. Did you guys put full pads on today?
Half pads.
Half pads.
We're going through the acclimation, and that's 2 in helmets and 3 in half pads. So
Okay.
we're on schedule with acclimation.
Gotcha. So you guys expect to go full pads maybe next week?
Let's see. I think it should be Saturday.
The closed one, damn.
Yeah. It's today Friday. No, today's Friday. So I think Sunday we'll be full pads on Sunday.
Okay, gotcha. Want to ask you about the offensive line coach. We've talked a lot. Obviously, Johnny King. We know he's playing center. But we talk about some of the new faces that slot the other 4 spots on the front line.
I'll be glad to. Just as a whole, I think the offensive line will be the strength of the offense. That's what I think. It's only 4 practices.
Yeah.
And when I say strength, because I like our depth, and obviously I love who's coaching them to developing that, and I just we're in a good spot. We need, like with any head coach at our level. I mean, hey, you got to stay healthy, all right. But I just like the group. Okay, now particular guys. I mean, I'm going to leave somebody out, but I mean, from Mo Clipper to Jesse Ramil to Mason Bowers, Andrew Adair, Tyler King is a guy that's got some experience in there. So again, I feel good about the group.
Yeah.
And Johnny's a swing guy. He can play center or guard.
Yeah.
And then you. I think it'll be. Not. I don't think. I know it'll be important in camp to continue to develop depth, whether it be Rod Green is a guy that we got to keep bringing along, and then we're still waiting on the NCAA on the decision on Mitch Mays, which I'm sure you probably know.
Yes, sir. Yeah, Mitch was good last year. Hopefully that gets worked out for him. You brought up the health factor. I don't expect you to name names or anything, but how are you guys looking so far on the health front through 4 practices?
I would say on schedule. Anybody that's not going to practice right now, we're going to get back at some point in time. It's soft tissue. And we've made with today's rules with roster, they've cut down the roster.
Right.
You're going to have to, I mean, the data says guys on the ground, that's when injuries happen. So we're teaching our guys how to practice in helmets.
Right.
We're teaching them how to practice in half pads and trying to stay off the ground and still have a physical team. And there's a fine line. I don't have all the answers on it.
Right.
It keeps me up at night. But you want to have a physical tough team, and then you got to stay off the ground. It's hard to do, but we're certainly trying to get that done.
Absolutely. A few more for you, Coach, and I'll let you get back to it. Obviously, you brought in a true freshman class. You're bringing them along. But have there been any true freshmen that haven't looked like a true freshman to this point?
That's going to be better for me to answer next week. It's
Okay.
so early. I mean, I'm going to say a couple names, but I'm going to leave somebody out that's going to make me mad because it's having a good camp, and I might have 28, and I'll never ever make that mistake. I'll never do that. Say 28. All right. Because that's a pet peeve of mine. But like Curtis Simpson, he's a freshman. All right. The running back from number 24 from UNC.
Yeah, Cobb.
Yep. Cobb. He enrolled at UNC mid-year. All right, so he's supposed to be a true freshman, but he's got one semester under spell. And Curtis is close to that. Curtis Simpson. They're going to be really good players here. I count them as freshmen. And so Jeremiah Hoffman, he is a true freshman. He's been here for 3 weeks. In the summer. When he gets some strength on him, he's going to be a good player. So that's just 3 off the top of my head. And I know there's a couple others, that I'm leaving out, but I'll be better I'll be better on who they are because I'll have seen more film on them.
Sounds good. I'll just give you a funny one. So I was talking to Shea Taylor, and he got a pick 6 last season against Buffalo for you guys at Ohio. And he said you almost popped a hammy running down the sideline with him. Can you just talk about that from your perspective?
Well, that's a true story. And to be honest with you, in that same game, Caden Smith had a 2-point conversion. It's a 2-point conversion.
Yep.
So she had a pick 6. All right. And it was on Buffalo's sideline. And so I was hustling around. But now, Caden Smith, Buffalo scored, trying to get back in the game, went for 2, and Caden picked it off at the goal line. And I was down at the 20 and saw that he's in the clear. And I took off all the way to the other coach's box at the other end. and hey, I thought I needed some oxygen but it's a true story. So it is a true story. I'm laughing right now. So
Absolutely. Well, hey, I appreciate your time, Coach, and have a good weekend, man. I'll be back out there early next week.
thanks, Hunter.
Yeah, I guess one last thing before I go, even though I said that twice already on this pod, is, walking to the building, first person I saw was Mike Hill. So I got to talk to Mike for a little bit, catch up with him, give a little Gator jab in there, but it's good to see everyone again. Guys, it's close. I am looking forward to being with Hunter and Hannah at these home games and giving you guys these pods. All the people supporting us, thank you so much. And hopefully this will be a good season because we'll be in the building. So if you see us, come say hi.
Absolutely. Couldn't have said it better. It's 25 days from today, a little over 3 weeks, and we'll be at B of A for the Dukes Mayo Classic. So that's right. Appreciate y'all tuning into the pod. We'll be back soon.